special episode on the Mindful Living podcast with your host, Sana. I am here to explore conversations that help us cultivate balance, resilience, and a deep connection between the mind, body, and spirit. And today I'm thrilled to have a very special guest with us, Cheryl Ilov. Now, let me introduce a bit about Cheryl with all of you. She's an author, speaker, physical therapist, martial artist, dancer, and former chronic pain patient. With over 20 years of experience in private practice, Cheryl has helped thousands of people recover from pain and injuries by integrating the science of physical therapy with the art of movement. But here's what makes her journey even more incredible, listeners. She is also a second degree black belt in Ninpo Tai Jutsu. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Pardon me. A martial arts she began training in at the age of, wait for it, 47, listeners. So, we are diving deep today into a powerful truth. Our bodies, minds, and spirits have an innate ability to heal. And there's an incredible amount of inner strength in each and every one of us, which you don't even know. So, Cheryl is here to help us know ourselves, our inner strength, and give us insights on how we can tap into that. So, with that, Cheryl, welcome to the show. And it's an absolute honor having you with us.
Oh, Sana, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. I've been looking forward to this for ever since we scheduled it.
Lovely. So, Cheryl, of course, your journey is absolutely fascinating. I mean, author, speaker, physical therapy, martial arts, dancing. I mean, it's never ending. So, uh, let's start with your personal journey. I mean, how did you discover that traditional physical therapy alone wasn't enough, and what led you to explore alternative healing? And if you can also share a bit about your own journey as a person,
Mm.
as
Oh boy, where do I begin? Let me see. I'll just start from my own personal beginning. I'm actually from a small steel town in western Pennsylvania. I have 4 sisters. My father was an Eastern European immigrant from what was then, the former Czechoslovakia. My mother was born here in the United States, but her family was from, um, Eastern Europe as well, what was the former Yugoslavia. So I grew up in a very Eastern European household, with a lot of, girl energy and girl power.
yeah.
And once I finished college, I decided, you know what, this has been great, but I just want to go off on my own to seek my fame and fortune, or at least my independence, to see if I had the tenacity of spirit to be able to make it on my own. And so, just a few days after graduating college, one of my college roommates and I hopped into my little beat up 1974 Ford Maverick and drove across the country to Denver, Colorado. And we chose Denver because I was a downhill skier. I loved this to ski and I loved the mountains. And my friend was a cross country skier. And we were
Mm,
also in the same field, medical field of respiratory therapy. So it just seemed like a good match. So that's how I ended up here in the center of the United States.
wow. What a journey. What a journey, Cheryl. Oh, lovely. Thank you so much for sharing that. And also, it is so interesting, because in many ways, when we talk about physical therapy, or let's take look at this at a broader sense, healing, it
Mhm.
only comes from medicine or external interventions. But you emphasize that healing is already within us. So, can you expand on this idea, and how you have seen it play out in your work?
Absolutely. So what happened was, I ended up, as you said in my intro, a chronic pain patient. What started
Mhm.
as just a little bit of discomfort and stiffness in my low back quickly spiraled way out of control. So I was in constant, chronic, incapacitating pain that I had to cut back on my hours at work. I could not do the activities that I loved. I couldn't dance. I couldn't, go skiing. I couldn't do anything because the pain was so severe. And I was a good patient. I did everything that I was told because I was Western medicine medically trained as a respiratory therapist. So, we specialize in the cardiopulmonary system. So I did everything that the experts told me to do. I went to all the physical therapy sessions, even though they weren't helping. I took all the medications that they gave me. Again, they weren't helping. Went to my massage therapy. Everything I did exactly as I was told. And instead of getting better, I got worse. And finally, after 2.5 years of living in this misery, incredible pain, physical pain, emotional pain, I was just so depressed because I couldn't do any of the activities I loved. Finally, one of my doctors actually told me that I was never going to recover. I was always going to be a chronic pain patient and to start applying for disability because I was going to need it. And Sana, I was only 36 years old.
Goodness.
I know. So basically this woman took away my hope, she shattered my dreams, she destroyed my spirit, and left me with absolutely nothing to look forward to in life except chronic pain, and she says, "But don't worry, we will take care of you." And that's when I had one of those light bulb moments or an epiphany that it was like, "Wait a minute. They have been taking care of me for the past 2.5 years. Instead of getting better, I'm getting worse." So I went home, I hit rock bottom, and a couple of days later, I woke up and said, "You know what? This is up to you to figure out. I am reaching for outside sources to fix me, and they're making me worse. I need to figure it out for myself." So basically, that's what I did. I knew enough about movement, being a dancer, and I started dancing at a late age. At the age of 20, I started taking ballet, which is very old, in the world of ballet, but I knew that kind of movement. I had been taking Pilates classes, so I knew a little bit of that. So what I would do is every single day I would like dissect one of like the Pilates exercises or a ballet movement, and I would get down on the floor, I would roll around, I would move very slowly and say, "Ugh, this movement feels good. This doesn't make my pain worse." Or if I moved another way, it would exacerbate my pain. It would get worse. It's like, okay, so this isn't good. So slowly but surely, I did this every single day. I stopped taking the medications that they gave me. I stopped going to all of my appointments because they weren't helping. And I stopped doing the stupid stretches and exercises that the physical therapists gave me. So I figured out for myself what was helping and what was hurting. And the only thing I did add was acupuncture. And in 9 months' time, I was completely pain-free. I was stiff, I was out of shape, I was a little overweight, but I wasn't in pain. So that launched me on this journey of, "Hey, what if? What else is out there? How can I teach myself to stay healthy, to stay flexible, to stay fit for the entire course of my lifetime," because I was given what I would consider almost a death sentence at the age of 36. So that's how it all began. And so it just launched me on this incredible journey to explore other things. And eventually, I did go to physical therapy school and I got my master's degree. And when I graduated, I realized I didn't want to do it because traditional PT didn't work for me. Why did I think it was going to work for my patients? So, what I did was I opened up my own practice, specializing in Pilates-based rehabilitation and conditioning. And then a few years later, I added another modality based on somatic movement, mind body connection called Feldenkrais. And I did that for 18 years.
18 years. Wow.
hmm I'm an older person.
I mean, yeah, that's quite an experience.
And when I opened my physical therapy practice, And I would have a lot of the clients that I had, and I call them clients, not patients, a lot of them came to me with the same problem I had, is that they were told they would never get better. This is as good as it's gonna get. Don't worry, we'll take care of you. And when they would come to my office, they would tell me their story, and I always said, "Look, I am not going to fix you. I'm not going to heal you. I'm going to teach you how to heal yourself." And it
Mm.
worked.
It's more about empowering, supporting, and also empowering them.
Absolutely, because when somebody like, for example, when I was told I would never get better, that was one way that they were taking my power away from me, and then, the doctor said, "Don't worry, we'll take care of you," and it was like, ugh. I think that's where this Eastern European background hit in or kicked in, because 'cause we're a very stubborn people,
Yeah.
and it was like, I don't wanna depend on anybody. I wanna depend on the person who knows me best and cares about me the most, and that's myself. And right about now, I can see in my mind's eye all of your listeners nodding their heads going, "Yes, I agree."
Yeah. Oh, well, also, um, that's another aspect of your work, and you mentioned neuroplasticity. And in so many of my conversations, and yes, we have touched on upon neuroplasticity, and it's
Mhm.
really fascinating because it's something that many people they don't realize the power of the mind in shaping our experiences. And of course, there's a huge difference between how brain functions and what effect our mind has. So, can you break it down for us, Cheryl? I mean, how can we use neuroplasticity to rewire our thinking and create a healthier, stronger version of ourselves like you did?
Okay, that's a great question. And one of the first things I just want to, explain to the listeners, and they may have heard it before, old news, but I can't emphasize it enough. What we hear is what we believe. And what we believe is what we eventually become. In my personal experience, I kept hearing over and over and over, "You're a chronic pain patient. You're a chronic pain patient. You're never going to improve. You're never going to heal. You'll never get better." And I started to see those words like, in neon red flashing lights in my mind when I would think about it. That was actually changing the neural pathways in my brain that I believed, yes, I was a chronic pain patient and I would never get better. So, in some bizarre, twisted way, the medical people who were supposed to be helping me were actually reinforcing the neural pathways in my brain. You will never heal, you'll never get better. And when I had that, lying on the floor, head smacking moment, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to figure this out on my own. That was scary, but at the same time, just making that decision was incredibly empowering. And something in my mind just shifted and changed because I now was taking full responsibility for my healing journey. And even though I didn't know what I was doing, I just knew that I was going to figure it out. And so that's what, I would try. Okay, this is working. Yes, this is working. No. And just kind of figuring it out for myself and fine tuning what works for me. And I'm not anybody special. We all have this deep inside of us. We have this ability. The thing we need to understand is we need to trust ourselves. Trust our bodies have an incredible capacity to heal themselves as long as we give them the right environment, and that includes our mindset.
Mhm.
So if somebody gives you, for the listeners, a diagnosis or a prognosis like they gave me, you don't have to accept that. Question everything. Do your own research. Talk to other people. Look into alternative healing modalities. It's a never ending journey. Even at this point in my life, I will admit it, I'm very proud of it. I'm 68. And I'm
Mm.
still, I'm still dancing, I'm still doing martial arts 4 times a week. I'm doing things that I couldn't do when I was in my 30s because I know I can do it or I know I can try it. And you surround yourself with people who have that same mindset and who can support you in whatever journey it is that you're undertaking.
Mm. Wow, that is so so inspiring. Cheryl, 68 and martial arts, dancing. I mean, that's so so empowering. Especially I mean, of course, for all of us as humans, but I think specifically for women out there, I mean, there is such a template that has been fed to us that we women, when we are going to age, you know, we are going to be just, sitting down there. We won't be able to do nothing. And that kind of, mindset keeps on developing, weakening us from the inside out. But, success stories like yours, they still, give us that, ray of hope that yes, if we change our mindset, if we get out of that, template and,
Mhm.
navigate through with grit and resilience, I think age is, I know it's, very generic statement, but age is just a number. So thank
Absolutely. Absolutely, and thank you for saying that, about the template and what we are told, especially as women, as we get older. It's kind of like, "Just go sit in the rocking chair and wait for death," and I think that there's this new revolution coming, that I see it in a lot of people my age and even a lot of people who are older than me. They're like, "Oh, heck no, I'm not gonna stop." And if you have an ache or a pain and you go to the doctor and they'll say, "Oh, you're too old to do this." I mean, I was told when I was in my mid-30s that I was too old to do ballet class. "You're too old for ballet." Well, I'm 68 and I'm still dancing, so I guess they were wrong. And keep in mind, the experts aren't always right.
you. They're also humans, they're not God.
Right, exactly, exactly, yeah, and, it could be that they are trying to help us, or it could be that they don't know any better, and they truly bought the lie that, we're falling apart as we age, and no, we have the incredible ability to take care of ourselves and, like I said, so many alternative, healing modalities are out there, so if you're listening to this right now and you're struggling with something, keep an open mind. How many options are open to you that were not available to me over 30 years ago when I was going through my issues?
True, true. Because, negativity feeds from the fear we have. So it's more about that, that fear and anxiety which is within us. We think we kind of have that fear, and that completely consumes us and holds us back from taking risks or, having that clarity. So
Mm.
I completely agree with you.
Absolutely, and, I think I'm a suspicious person, so I say this, take it with a grain of salt, but I sometimes think that the, professionals or the experts or, maybe media or whomever want to keep us in a certain place, that they don't want to see us thrive in a way that, with uh, uh, vitality and, so much energy that's because then they can't control us. It's much safer to have a population that depends on, the medications, depends on somebody else to take care of them. No, that's just not an empowered way to live. And let me tell you, just because you did mention it at the very beginning, there is an incredible amount of inner strength and power in each and every one of us just waiting to be discovered. And I will add, especially for women, there is a warrior in all of us.
Yeah.
And that warrior will talk to you and give you, just listening to your body, feeling, the sensations that go through you when you do certain things, not only the physical sensations, but the emotional journey and the, psychological journey. It's the whole package.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when you mentioned about warrior, I think I cannot not ask you about your martial arts journey. And you became your teacher's first female black belt. That's amazing. So, what did that experience teach you about resilience, personal strength, and healing? Because I think martial arts, it can teach us so many leadership skills, the way of living, the mindset. So, if you can share.
Yes, well, like I said, started my martial arts journey at the tender young age of 47. I did
Mhm.
not go willingly. My teacher was my acupuncturist before he became my teacher, and bless his heart, he's very stubborn, like I am, and it took him 3 years to convince me to take classes from him.
Mhm.
And, because I kept saying no, martial arts was never on my radar, it wasn't in my DNA, I had no interest in it. But I had had a traumatic event happen to me just, shortly before I met him, and
Mhm.
when he found out about the trauma, he said, "Cheryl, this is the best way to heal, it will help you get your power back, just so amazing, and, just not only mentally, physically, spiritually." And I kept looking at him, and I would say, "Hey, I don't understand how hanging around a smelly dojo with a bunch of sweaty men whose goal is to attack me is gonna make me feel any better." So I kept saying no. And finally, after 3 years, I said, "Okay, I will take a few classes just to prove to you how much I'm gonna hate it, and then I'll quit." Well, we all know how that worked out. So 10 years later, I became his first female black belt. And, people will tell me, "Oh, well, he knew there was this warrior inside of you. He knew you were gonna be his first female black belt. He knew you were gonna be this powerhouse." No, he did not know that. He just felt so bad for me, and he really felt, he liked me, and he hated to see me suffering. And he said, "I know this can help you," and I kept saying no. Well, thank God he was more stubborn than I was, because even after my first class sauna, I mean, I was scared. I was terrified for the first 2 years of training, but I kept showing up. And that's another important life lesson. Sometimes you have to show up even when you don't want to.
True, true, absolutely true. Absolutely.
Especially when you don't want to, because that's when the surprises start
What?
to, show up, and that's what happened to me. It's most of the time, I was the only woman in class, which was terrifying. The guys were very nice for the most part. There were a few that weren't, but that was okay. But to be able to put yourself out like that and in an environment that is so uncomfortable and so out of character for you, and then you do it and you walk out alive at the end of the class. It's like, "Okay, I made it this far, so that's pretty good." And then you just keep going back even on the days that you don't want to. And I could just feel my spirit, rising. I could feel my personality coming back. I could feel that snarkiness. I could feel my body getting stronger, but not in a muscle bound way, in a way of understanding how it moves and how I can move another person who actually would be twice my size and half my age.
Wow.
That's power.
Yeah, that is. That is. It's not just the physical strength.
You're absolutely right. It is the mental and emotional and even the critical thinking. My critical thinking skills improved a lot. And I like to joke and say there's nothing like being in a headlock with somebody who's not going to let you out to figure out a way. And so, yeah, you see that there are other options rather than a traditional one that you would take. It's like, "Oh, I could go this way instead of that way. Oh, that's interesting. Boom, and I'm free."
Wow. Wow.
I think every woman should try martial arts. Just
Yeah.
make sure you get into a safe environment. That's very important.
Yes. Yes. Lovely. Lovely. You really inspire me to think about this Cheryl. I think I should definitely try for it. Definitely go for
Oh,
it, actually.
Oh, thank you. That's wonderful. That's why I'm here. And, if you ever have any questions, if you ever like, hey, this happened, or, I think this school might work out for me, but I'm not sure, please feel free to contact me. I will be happy to talk, you or anybody, especially a woman, through the process of trying to pick a martial arts school or a martial art that would work for you. And never be afraid to say, okay, not this one, try another one. There's always something. You can start with something as gentle but really powerful as Tai Chi or Qigong.
Yeah, lovely, lovely. Thank you so much for encouraging, Cheryl. And before we wrap up, um, so I think let's play devil's advocate for a moment because, of course, there will be skeptics out there to
Of course.
question that
Mhm.
while the body does have healing capabilities, certain conditions require modern medicine and intervention. So, what's your perspective on balancing natural healing with medical treatment?
That is a great question. And what I would say is to start really understanding how your body works. Again, paying attention to the sensations in your body. If you have pain somewhere, listen to the pain. Pain is a powerful teacher. Do your research. And then when you go to your traditional medical practitioner. And I highly, recommend that everybody have somebody that they can go to, but make sure it's somebody who's going to listen to you. When you come in and you can say, this has been going on, this has been happening for this long. I notice if I do this, it gets better. If I do this, it gets worse. I've tried this and it seemed to help a little bit. I tried that and it made it so much worse. You are not only empowering yourself, you are giving the gift of your personal experience to your practitioner so they have something to work with. So then you truly have developed a partnership with your medical practitioner. And then I would be honest and say, oh, well, I am trying acupuncture and it does seem to help, or chiropractic, or Reiki, or whatever it is that you're trying. So you have this conversation and you have this partnership. So you're not going to the doctor and they're saying, do this, and you say, okay. You're going to the doctor and saying, this is my list of symptoms. These are the things that I've tried. This is, where I want to be. And they most physicians really appreciate that, and you are taking charge of your own health, and that's a way of sharing your power instead of giving your power away to somebody else to make decisions for you.
Mm, right. Absolutely makes sense. Great, great, Cheryl. So, if our listeners would like to connect with you, how they can find you, where they,
Oh, I can Oh, go ahead.
yeah, where they can find you.
Okay, well, they can go to my website, which is just simply CherylIlov.com, and just there's no E on the end of I love. Everybody puts it up just out of habit. So you can contact me through my website. I am on LinkedIn, and I'm very active on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook, on under Cheryl I Love International, and I'm also on YouTube. I've got a YouTube channel under the name The Femininja Project, and I'm also on Instagram, so yeah, you can reach out to me. If you can't find me, you're not looking, because 'cause I'm pretty much everywhere.
Anyway, we'll have all the links mentioned in the show notes for our listeners. And Cheryl, thank you so, so much. I mean, for this, this has been such an eye-opening, inspiring, empowering conversation. And really, really, it's so good to know that, science, movement, and mindset, they are so interconnected. And you have, so efficiently blended to help people reclaim their strength and healing, not just physically, but spiritually and mentally. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Sana. It is an honor to be here and an honor to speak with you and your listeners.
And to all of our listeners, thank you so much for tuning into the Mindful Living. And remember that healing isn't just something that happens to us, it is something we can actively cultivate. And Cheryl is a living example of that. So do make sure to connect with her. We have all the links in the show notes, and also Subscribe to us, leave us a review, let us know how we are doing, and share this episode with your family, your loved ones, your friends, your colleagues, or anyone who needs to hear this message out. And stay mindful, stay empowered. And I'll see you next time on the Mindful Living podcast. Thank you.